Hey everyone, welcome back to ONYX Pages. I hope you are enjoying this series, the Orange Rubik's Cube series, it looks like. I don't know, there's no theme except orange and Rubik's. So this is a, what do I call this? I guess it's not quite a monthly wrap up, but it's basically going to be a wrap up. It's going to be, yes, this is going to be an imperfect wrap up, okay? Journey along with me as I deal with my perfectionism, okay? So this is a wrap-up video. I don't remember the last time I did one. I don't remember what I read. So we're gonna be on a path of discovery together. Get comfortable. It's gonna be a bit chaotic, but that is what makes life worth living. Thank you for watching. See you after the intro. You stayed. Thanks for that. Okay, so of course, the first thing that I'm gonna do is just go to the YouTube ONYX Pages channel. If you are not subscribed yet, I mean, I think you should be. So please subscribe, because that means you get to be part of the ONYX Pages community, which I appreciate. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my list of videos and I'm just gonna see, first of all, when was the last time I filmed a wrap-up? Content creation is not easy, especially when you live a busy life and you are being pulled in 1,000 directions, but I did make the commitment in 2026 to return to making content because it makes me very happy. It also does trigger like this desire to do everything perfect and to use like the newest equipment and the best ways and to like get on the algorithm's tail and do all the things, and so that can sometimes create procrastination. So this like imperfect video is just me taking you along as I try to remember what my last wrap-up was and what I have read since then. Thank you for your grace. So the last wrap-up I filmed, I'm just literally going through my list of videos to try and find the last wrap-up. So the last wrap-up looks like, or recap. So I did a January recap, which is great. Started off, whoop, I did a February recap. That's awesome. Did I do a March recap? Oh my goodness. I haven't done one since March. Okay. All right. So I have to tell you about the books I read in March, April, May, and June. 4 months. The good news is there weren't a lot of them because life started to life and I was in a bit of a reading slump. So the good news is it's not going to be a ton, but it will be at least 2, I hope. Maybe it won't be. Okay, so let's go to, I'm going to go to the, to my story graph. If you are not following me on story graph, you should be. That's me, ONYX Pages. So please join me on the story graph and follow my reading experiences. So I'm going to go to my reading journal and hope that I have kept it updated. Okay, so it looks like, okay, I read some things. So in March, I finished The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord. And I also started and finished The Galaxy Game by Karen Lord. And I read Harriet Tubman live in concert. That was April. And in April, I started Syncopation by Whitney French. And I think after Syncopation, I started the collection of Black speculative stories that I'm reading right now. I think that is the order. I'm now gonna just take a look at my like iPhone feed, because I often take a photo of the book that I'm reading just to make sure that I haven't missed anything. I think that's all I've read. So I'm going to pause you. I'm going to grab those books and then I'm going to tell you about them. Yeah, I think that's all I read. Because I did some traveling in, when did I travel? May. And I was just finishing Syncopation at that point. I think that's it. Yeah, it took me a minute to finish Syncopation. I'm pretty sure that's all I read. Okay, so give me a second. I'm going to pull those books and then I'm going to tell you about them. Hi. Okay, so I got the books here and I'm going to take you through them. I'm just going to read the synopses because it's been a minute. So this is The Best of All Possible Worlds by Dr. Karen Lord. A proud and reserved alien society finds its homeland destroyed in an unprovoked act of aggression, and the survivors have no choice but to reach out to the indigenous humanoids of their adopted world, to whom they are distantly related. They wish to preserve their cherished way of life, but doing so may mean changing their culture forever. Working together to save this vanishing race, a man and a woman from two clashing societies will uncover ancient mysteries with far-reaching ramifications. And as their mission hangs in the balance, the unlikely team, one cool and cerebral, the other fiery and impulsive, just may find in each other their own destinies and a force that transcends all. This is my, I think, at least the second time reading this book. I am reading through all of Dr. Karen Lord's works for surprise reasons, so that was The Best of All Possible Worlds. I remember it, I enjoyed it, I recommend it. And then after that, I read The Galaxy Game by Dr. Karen Lord. On the verge of adulthood, Raffi attends the Lyceum, a school for the psionically gifted. Raffi possesses mental abilities that might benefit people or control them. Some wish to help Raffi wield his powers responsibly. Others see him as a threat to be contained. Raffi's only freedom at the Lyceum is wall running, a game of speed and agility played on vast vertical surfaces riddled with variable gravity fields. Serendipity and Intenman are also students at the Lyceum, but unlike Raffi, they come from communities where such abilities are valued. Serenity finds the Lyceum as much a prison as a school, and she yearns for a meaningful life beyond its gates. Intenman, with his quick tongue, quicker mind, and a willingness to bend, if not break the rules, has no problem fitting in, but he too has its reasons for wanting to escape. Now the three friends are about to experience a moment of violent change as seething tensions between rival starfaring civilizations come to a head. For Serendipity, it will challenge her ideas of community and self. For Intenman, it will open new opportunities and new dangers. And for Raffi, given a chance to train with some of the best wall runners in the galaxy, it will lead to the discovery that there is more to wall running than he ever suspected and more to himself than he ever dreamed. So the Raffi, who's the main character in this story, is the nephew of the main character in this story. So they're obviously companions. There are 3 books in this series. So after the is there 3? Why do I think there are 4? There's also the Blue Beautiful World. And is it 3? I keep on thinking that there are more in this one. Yeah, I think there are only 3. I think it's The Best of All Possible Worlds, then The Galaxy Game, then The Blue Beautiful World. So anyway, I haven't reread The Blue Beautiful World yet, but it is the 3rd in this series. What I like about Karen Lord's writing and what I like about the 2 stories is that there's so much politics, so much sociology, so many communities coming together. I love Raffi as a character. I love his aunt, Grace Delarua. I really like the backdrop of a community has been destroyed and their people need a place to go, and the people who have been destroyed are the ones who have been in power. Well, not in power, but considered to be the most resourced, the most gifted, the most powerful. And because of their psychic abilities, they're expected to, they believe themselves to be superior and that they should lead. But then their entire world is destroyed and now they're refugees. And now they have to go back to the people and the peoples that they look down upon and try to figure out how to manage. And there's a power vacuum, so we've got a community, we've got people vying for access to that power, and all of these individuals, including young people, who are getting caught up in that power vacuum and having to figure out how to make the best use of this moment that they're in. And so there's so much like tension and frenzy and journeying in these stories. I enjoyed the landscapes, the different peoples that we meet, the different ways that power is, and magic and like psychic abilities are set out. There's just like so many cool things about the world, and I enjoyed reading it. Now, Karen Lord, sometimes her writing is confusing, and so these were slower reads for me. And I also listened, I hybrid read them, so I read them with my ears and read them with my eyes, which really helped me follow the stories along. Okay. Then after I finished the Galaxy game, I was like, let me try something that is a standalone, that is a little bit more like accessible in terms of how it's written. And this was Harriet Tubman Live in Concert, a novel by Bob the Drag Queen. I don't follow Bob the Drag Queen, but I really like Harriet Tubman. I like reading anything about her. So I'll read the synopsis. In an age of miracles where our greatest heroes from history have magically, unexplainably returned to shake us out of our confusion and complacency, Harriet Tubman is back, and she has a lot to say. Harriet Tubman and 4 of the enslaved persons she led to freedom want to tell their story in a unique way. Harriet wants to create a hip-hop album and live show about her life, and she needs a songwriter to help her. Original, evocative, and historic, Harriet Tubman Live in Concert is a landmark achievement that will burrow deep into our hearts and into our ears. Okay, so this was blurred by Whoopi Goldberg. Like, it is... Okay. So, this was entertaining. I read this with my eyes and read this with my ears. I will say that I wish that they had a different narrator, because I think Bob the Drag Queen actually narrated their own work. And I think it's great when the writer of a story narrates their own work, because you hear the story the way that they intended it to be heard, which is great. Like the emphasis, the focus on the sentence or the words, they're said the way that the writer imagined it when they were writing it. And so that's really great. Like, I got a very clear sense of what this story was about. Basically, the main character, he's a producer and meets this person who says, I'm Harriet Tubman. In this world, historical figures are coming back to life, so it's not really a surprise, but it's like, what? You're the Harriet Tubman? You've chosen me? Some like queer producer to like make your album? This is so weird. Also, yes, I'm gonna do it, right? Like, so it's definitely got elements of like contemporary elements of the hip hop scene, the music scene. How do you put out an album, getting signed and artists and like that kind of world. But then you have Harriet Tubman, who, if you've read anything about her, she was this like very short woman with narcolepsy, but someone who followed her own dreams, her collective dreams, had to deal with a lot of sacrifice, read the signs of the universe, brought so many people to freedom, was a freedom fighter, didn't take any bullshit. You have her interacting with this gay artist, right? In a world where it's hard, gay producer, artist, songwriter, in this world where, like this hip hop world where it's not easy to be gay, and lots of people are, they're not out yet, they're closeted. And so we've got these two characters encountering each other. There were a lot of really interesting moments. There were actually moments where I definitely shed a tear, because, Harriet Tubman, as much as she needs the main character, to help her create this album and write these songs, this character needs her as well, because what does Harriet do? Harriet brought people to freedom, right? The internal freedom and the external freedom. She said, if more people believed that they were enslaved, I would have been able to free so many more. And the main character needs to be free. So it was entertaining. There were moments of like some betrayal and, It was an interesting and entertaining read. Not my favorite book of all time. It was good. It was good. I did enjoy, though, that the audiobook actually had music. So there are a couple of songs, original pieces that were written in tandem with the book by Bob the Drag Queen, and they are performed in the actual like audiobook. So it was amazing to hear it afterwards, and I cried. I will say that I cried when I heard some of the music, especially right after reading the story, then being able to listen to the tracks and see how it connected to the story, but also to my own life as a Black queer person. I really enjoyed this. So this was an experience. It was entertaining, a good debut, not my favorite, but I'm glad I read it. And then the last that I'll talk about in this wrap-up recap is Syncopation, a novel in verse by Whitney French. Okay, so in the aftermath of a memory war, society is fragmented into strange new cultures, castes, and coalitions. O and Z are two young women searching for purpose in a world where a decades-long earthquake reverberates through the Earth's crust, and the population scrambles to hide from deadly acid rain. Descended from space pirates, O is drawn to the sky, while Z is earthbound, a skilled forager with connections to the black market. The two become travel companions and lovers until they are torn between choosing their values or each other. In this speculative and intoxicating story, French brings us a novel in verse where memory is the highest currency and love, like all revolutions, is dangerous, unruly, and singed with hope. So this is Syncopation by Whitney French. It will probably be a part of this series, but I interviewed Whitney French, and so you will get to see some of that interview and hear a little bit more about what Whitney's purpose was in writing, what their experience was, and also how I enjoyed the book. So I enjoyed Syncopation. There were it was tumultuous in parts for me. It's a novel in verse. I don't read a ton of novels in verse, but it definitely got me going. It was sexy. There was some really nice spicy scenes. There's like poetry, prose poetry, just like, you know, if you just look at how the writing was laid out here, you know, like lots of different ways to set out the text. So it was an enjoyable read, even when it was confusing. But definitely, like, if you're Canadian, you'll recognize, or in Ontario, you'll recognize like places in Ontario. And just it felt very post-apocalyptic. So I definitely wrote my notes, and yeah, I wrote here, this seems like the kind of novel that only makes sense from a distance. O and Z meet in a bodega. They wait out the acid rain. They travel together. Like, I did feel like I had to sort of step away from the novel while I was reading it. Like, I needed to let it happen to me, trusting that if I didn't understand something in a few chapters, a few poems away, it would make sense, because it's non-linear. It is asynchronously written, and it does sort of take you for a bit of a loop. So I say that if you are interested in some speculative writing that is not your not easy to read like this, but kind of asks you questions even in how you encounter the text, I would definitely recommend this. So, and also watch the interview with Whitney, because we giggled. Unfortunately, a part of the interview got cut off, so we didn't get all of it, but it was a really nice time, and I really enjoyed reading Syncopation. Okay, so I guess all that is to say that in the months of, I guess, March, April, May, and June, in those 4 months, I basically read 4 books. I started As the Earth Dreams in June, but it's July now, and I like to include in my wrap-ups the books that I finished. So I'll talk about As the Earth Dreams in my next wrap-up. So that takes us all the way from January to June, which means that I've taken you through all the books that I've read this year, so I can give you a few stats. If I go back to my story graph, it should, okay, whoop, stats. So viewing stats for 2026. Okay, so it looks like I have read, is it only 8 books since the beginning of the year? Can't be. It's possible, I guess. Okay. If I'm looking at 2026 read books. All right, it looks like I've read 8 books this year. That can't be right. Hold on, let me go back. That's a bit low. Let's go back to my reading journal. I'm still getting to know like how to quickly go through story graph. Okay, ONYX pages, reading journal. Okay. Oop. Books. Oh, I've read 8 books in 2026. That's too bad. I wish I had read more. But this is the Imperfect Wrapup, so that's fine. So I've read 8 books, and my stats are, I've read 2,358 pages. The average time it takes me to finish a book is 16 days right now. And in terms of the moods of the books that I've read, emotional, dark, adventurous are the top 3 moods. Emotional, dark, and adventurous. I like that. I'm reading generally at a medium pace, and the average page number count is like 300 to 500 pages. All fiction, science fiction, and literary are the top genres. And the most read author this year is Karen Lord. All right, so 8 books so far. I was hoping to have read more by the midpoint of the year, but life is what it is. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get to 20 by the end of the year, but we'll see. We'll see. It's okay if it's a low reading year. It's totally fine. So, are you interested in any of the books that I've read this year? Have you read, this past period? Have you read any of them? What do you think? If you have watched this all the way to the end, I would love some, I'm just looking at this, the fruits and the leaves. Give me some fruits and give me some leaves. I would love that. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to this channel. I would love to hear your comments. Put on that notification bell so you can see videos as they come up, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.